Welcome to Soul Awakening with Sandra, Soul Conversations and Readings. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As always, if you like anything, go to my link in my bio, click Social tab, and follow me on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, let's get started. I'm reading from what I believe is the last chapter of The Greatest Secret by Rhonda Byrne. Hi, Mark. How are you? I intend to be fully conscious of my true nature, awareness. I intend to be fulfilled by my purpose and live my life in the joy of the infinite awareness that I am. I have made the decision to be the eternal, indestructible, pure awareness that I am. That was an affirmation, and it started out the first paragraph in the last chapter. So, awareness practices. We talked about these in the beginning of the book. The first step is to ask yourself, am I aware? The second step is to then notice awareness. And then the third step is to stay aware, right? Stay aware that you are awareness. Okay, so let's read that again. All right, so the affirmation is, I intend to be fully conscious of my true nature, awareness. I intend to fulfill my purpose and live my life in the joy of the infinite awareness that I am. I have made the decision to be the eternal, indestructible, pure awareness that I am. Okay, so the second bullet point is, shift your attention to awareness by noticing awareness multiple times throughout your day. So that just means to ask yourself, am I aware throughout your day? Give 5 minutes a day at the very least to putting your attention on awareness. You can do it when you first wake up in the morning. You can do it when you get into bed. Or you can do it any other time that suits you. Question every negative feeling with, am I that? Or am I the one that is aware of it? I like that, right? You get to say, am I that? If you're having a thought, and it comes to mind, and you want to know if it's a thought being presented to you that's for your greater good, you can just ask, am I that? And that makes yourself aware of it. I like that. Okay, the next bullet point. You can use the same question, am I that, or am I the one that is aware of it, for any negative thought or painful body sensation. So even if you feel a cold coming on, you feel it moving. Most people say, I'm getting a cold, or I have a cold, right? But you can just say, am I that's moving through my body? Right? Instead of giving it a name and allowing your ego to run with it. Okay, the next bullet point is, the super practice. Welcome anything negative and then stay as awareness. That means just allow it to move through your body. Don't resist it. Because remember, that you resist will persist. It'll just come back, that swing of the pendulum will come back to you, and it'll say, here I am again. That we resist persists. But if you just allow it to be and flow through you without having any attachment to it, it just moves on. It can't be attached to your ego, because you're taking your ego and you're putting your ego in the back seat. Hi, Fifi. So Fifi, what I did was I started, I believe it's the last chapter in The Greatest Secret. It's called The Greatest Secrets and it's called categorized as practices. And if you want to come online, please, request to join, because I would love to have you, Fifi. Okay, so I'll go over the first 4 bullet points for you, Fifi. The first bullet point is the awareness practice. First step is ask yourself, am I aware? And then second step is notice awareness. It will show up and your ego will take a back seat. And the third step is try to stay as much awareness as you can. The second bullet point is shift your attention to awareness by noticing awareness multiple times throughout your day. The third one is give 5 minutes a day, at the very least, to putting your attention on awareness. You can do it when you first wake up in the morning. You can do it when you get into bed. And you can do it anytime throughout the day. Usually I do it a lot when I'm walking my dog. Because what happens is I start to focus in on loud trucks, and I start to focus in on people screaming at each other, or I start focusing in on, just whatever's going on while I'm walking my dog. Plus trying to handle my dog, because my dog is focusing in on that attention too. So I've been saying, am I awareness? And then both my dog, Charlie, and I just kind of focus in, and there's awareness. And we come back into that now moment. Remember, that's what awareness is your now moment. Okay, so the next bullet point is question every negative feeling with, am I that? Or am I the one that is aware of it? So you can either say, am I that? Or am I just the one that's aware of it, right? Because remember, awareness is aware. Okay, so now we've caught back up, Fifi. You can use the same question, am I that? Or am I the one that is aware of it, for any negative thought or painful body sensation. I do that a lot when I have feelings like, a cold or something, or, a pain in my body or something. And I'll go, am I that? Or am I just aware of it? Right? So then the next bullet point is the super practice. Welcome anything negative and stay as awareness. So that means instead of resisting anything negative that is moving through your visual or your perceptional, or even through your body, don't resist it. We say that we're training our mind, but we're training our mind to pretend that things are not there. But the thing is, the mind says, well, I feel it. In the body, I feel it. I feel the sensation. Or I see it. I see that we just got this bill. Well, that is the illusion of the reality that we're living. But you don't have to resist it. You can just let it flow through. You can look at the bill and go, well, all my needs have always been met. I'm going to write on the top of this bill and say, all my needs have always been met. I see this bill as paid in full. And just carry it forward with your affirmation and your embodiment of it. But don't resist it. Because what happens is it'll just keep persisting. It'll come back, and it'll come back as more. Instead of one bill, you'll find a second bill. Or instead of having just the sniffles, now you get the cough. Do you see what I mean? So don't resist it. Be awareness that's aware of it, that it's moving through you. That situations and circumstances are moving through your illusion of life. Okay, so the next one is The truth is that you are the one that is aware of the suffering rather than the one that is suffering. Be aware when you hear yourself say, I believe or I don't believe, because immediately following those words is a belief. And you get to ask, by the time you have a belief, it's almost at the time where it becomes your truth. So when you're saying you're believing something, that's the moment that you have to go, am I aware? And then awareness fills the room with you and goes, yes, you're aware. And you're aware about whatever you're about to say about believing. Some people say, oh, I believe that, I'm not going to win the lottery. Or I believe that this, isn't great for me. When it might be the best thing since sliced bread for you. You got to think about where those stories are coming from when you're taking what you believe and adding a negative to it, because you're the creator. Your awareness, having a human incarnation and creating your illusion, your reality, your duality. Yes, beliefs are not reality. They're not. Their beliefs are a perception that was thought about over and over and over and over again till it became a belief, and then the belief put into action over and over and over again became your truth, and that's the truth of what you perceive is what's being projected onto awareness. So your awareness, having a human incarnation and having a belief system that might not be for your greater good, and you're saying you believe it. I believe this or I believe that. Right? Okay. So be aware when you hear yourself say, I think or I don't think, because most likely what will follow that will also be a belief. Okay, let's keep reading. You can give the subconscious mind an instruction to highlight your beliefs for you so you can become more aware of them. Show me my beliefs clearly, one by one, so I can become aware of each and every one of them. Did you know that? Well, that's what I've always called in everything that I've ever mentioned on my Instagram page, is you're the one that gets to sift and sort through your subconscious. You get to call forward whatever is not serving you anymore. And sometimes sifting and sorting is hard if you don't know what you're looking for, because the ego's very good at hiding things. Very, very good at hiding things. It's your ego. And your ego is a construct of your mind, not a construct of source. Hi, Owl, say it. So you get to expose your beliefs. You get to bring them forward, especially if you're triggered by something. That's the best exposure, is when you're triggered. There's an old story that's come to the surface, and you get to say, show me that story. Show me that belief. Hey, Star Sister, show me that belief. You get to do that. There are so many ways that it's been written in textbooks and videos, and everybody online that is waking up, that is delivering this message, they're delivering it in just the right way from source for the right person to hear it just the way they need to hear it. So for me, sifting and sorting through my old stories and my old beliefs and my old paradigms that my subconscious holds is the same way that you get to say to your ego and your mind, show me my beliefs. Show me those old stories that became my belief, that I held on to so long, that I put action behind, that they became my truth. Show me my truth that no longer serves me. Because if I'm being triggered by it, it no longer serves me. And remember, our triggers are not by someone else. They're just standing there having their perception or having a conversation about their perception, and you got triggered by that. Show me that story. Show me that belief. Ask for the truth to surface is important, but also ready to receive the information without judgment. Thank you. I was going to get to that. That was going to be in the next bullet point, but thank you very much. It's when we go back into our old stories, it's just like taking a walk in our past. Most people live in their past because they're having judgment about their past and they can't move back from it. But the ego loves that because it's finite. It already happened. There's no way that you can mistakenly get hurt in a finite situation. That's what the ego thinks. The ego thinks it's protecting you. Fight, flight, or resist. Right? The mind has a thought, and the ego goes right in there and says, well, wait a minute. You want me to have that thought? Oh, wait. No, we got to resist that because that's going to take Sandra down Alice's rabbit hole, and she's going to have too many possibilities. Oh my goodness. What are we going to do? Oh, go to that unconscious file that she has going on, that unconscious recordings. Let's find something to keep her in the ego's comfort zone, not my comfort zone. The ego loves beliefs because when it runs at ease. Yes, it runs at ease. Hold on, let me see. Hi, who's sober? And I'll say it is coming on. Hi, how are
Doing
you?
great morning, soul sister.
How are you? Yes.
I'm doing okay. I've just been dealing with a lot of silliness. I'm
Oh,
changing my face though because I have this wonderful thing called the cold sore, and I don't care to see it.
you had you. Oh, I love that. I'm getting ready for that movie too. So,
I am so
so,
stoked.
so you just said you had a wonderful thing called a cold sore, right? Is that
Yeah.
okay?
When
Oh,
I get really stressed out, I don't get them often, but considering a lot of my circumstances and where I am right now, I felt like it was delayed.
yeah. Oh,
But
so, so what you did was because you've all. We're going to talk about this because this is part of the
yep,
bullet
it's a
point,
trigger.
right?
Absolutely.
And so the thing is, where we're talking about the ego has got you trained that when you get stressed, you're going to get a cold sore. So now it's an expectation of ego.
Hmm.
And then it's a story that keeps running, and now you're not resisting ego, you're just allowing that to happen, right?
Yes.
What if we do this? What if you know that's a story. That's an old story. You don't have to go back and find out if it's your grandmother's old story or your great grandmother's old story because you know it's your story that's on a unconscious loop. What if you decide to change that? Take it out of the story and just delete it and give yourself a new story. What would happen?
Hmm.
Because now
That might. Mm.
Go ahead. Because now what you're doing is you're telling your ego, get in the back seat. I don't take back seat drivers. So now your soul or your spirit gets to have a conversation with your mind, which has total access to your subconscious, and you get to rewrite a story. what would you say in that story? What would you change? How would you change? We're going to delete. Whenever I get stressed, I get a cold sore. Delete. That's deleting old software. What would be the new software and the new story that you, the creator, would create for that?
I would I would connect to the moment, acknowledge that I'm feeling stressed, and detach from the past identifications of when I'm stressed.
Yes, it's no longer resisting why your cold sore is coming. It's
Mm-hmm.
happening because of a situation, a circumstance, or a feeling in your body. But if you let
Mm-hmm.
it flow through you, if if
Mm-hmm.
if you're kind of going, I'm not giving my ego any of that label about what's coming through. I'm going to now allow it to move through me. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
be the observer of it, not a
Say
judger.
some truth. Mm-hmm.
Right. So that way, I mean, it's going to take time. It takes time for me too, because um, sometimes what happens with me is I'm okay on my own by letting things flow through me and not
Mm-hmm.
giving any kind of label, not giving anything a label, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my ego stays in that back seat. But when I'm around people who might hear that I'm nasally, or they might hear me cough, and then they're the ones that like to put labels on stuff. Then my ego tries to jump in the front seat and, tries to take point. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning how to, acknowledge that my ego has just jumped in that front seat and going, nope, get back there. And, you
Mm.
know, kind of work through that. Right? Do you want
I
me
hear you.
do you want me to read the next bullet point? Let's see. Uh
Absolutely.
okay.
It's interesting that some of the stuff that you were bringing up because I'm actually listening to a book about children with immature parents that also have immature children. It's all about like understanding like the needs and the emotions that we didn't get as children. Like if our parent was non-existent because they were at work or they weren't in the home, or if they were like present but they were like self-involved, things along those lines, and being understanding of where they came from and also understanding that it came from their parents and probably like several other generations over.
Right. Yeah.
But it's really good. I like it a lot. It's very insightful.
Yeah. This book and many, many other books, I think when it's trying to break it down spiritually and take
Mm,
you to a place of knowing who you are authentically, when you know that your subconscious, that subconscious part of you, that your ego, I call it the ego's playground,
mm,
um, um, functions best in that part of you because everything there is finite. Either it's
mm,
already happened, or
mm,
you're already going to have anxiety about future, which is the future is really,
mm,
if you think about it, the future is finite because you're thinking about something specific about the future.
mm.
As
I'm listening. Just closing the door. Oh, okay.
anyway, so, and the thing is, I have always thought if the world had went a different way
Mm,
and we were able, all of the things that our children were going through, how we assessed everything, and we dealt with it more spiritually and
mm,
allowed it to flow through them. Even uh, uh, adults who become parents way too early, kind of
mm,
kind of thing. It would be
mm,
different thing because it would be about allowing your feelings to flow through you and not be to flow through you and not be a part of who you are. So
right.
what we have to say is, and for those of us who can say be of you can be of the world but not in it. Yes, that works. But there are a lot of things that we walk through on a daily basis in the world, and we have to realize that there are a lot of people that are tuned in and tapped in to their ego. They just don't
Mhm.
they don't know it. So you have to, what I'm seeing is a lot of me learning about how ego presents itself
Mhm.
in the world, how the world has broken it down, and it's all, mental, people with mental disabilities and mental issues, and trauma issues, and this whole thing. It's broken down in such a way that everybody gets to ego gets to attach themselves to um, those labels,
Mhm.
right? And
Oh yeah.
don't individuals don't get to detach from the labels because they don't know to detach from them. What they
Right.
know, the psychiatrist or the psychologist or maybe the therapist now gets to dive a little bit deeper and go, well, I think you need a little bit of medicine, or or that kind of thing. And I think
Right.
learning more about our ego and the fact that there are stories that the ego holds on to, and we can be the the actual holders of those stories that that are don't have to attach themselves to us. Do you know what it?
Like I see what you're I see what you were saying. It kind of also sounds kind of similar to how Carlos Castaneda was when he learned from the Toltec Indian Don Juan
Mm-hmm,
Matias
mm-hmm,
about like not having personal history. And I just remember like there was a couple of times where like somebody was asking about where he came from, and one of the things that I loved about the book that I listened to Journey to Ixtlan first, and I was actually told by several people, "Oh, you don't want to start with that one,"
uh-huh,
and I was drawn to it, so I
mm-hmm.
listened to it.
Yeah.
I think you can find it free on YouTube. It's like 10 hours,
Mm-hmm.
but
You were drawn to it because that's where source wanted you to learn from. That's where source
hmm
would it be your instructor on. The thing is, I was drawn to this one, and I was drawn to read it out loud because source said people need to hear this,
hmm
because right now individuals believe that they're only body and mind, because that's the way the story has been always written for us, that your body and mind. We have either been taught to believe in science, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, and we're taught
hmm
to believe in a religion, whether
right,
it's organized religion or whatnot. And that's all we've been taught, is we're body and we're mind and we're only human. I've heard lots of people always make an excuse for why shit doesn't go right for them, and then
right,
they say to themselves, "Oh, I'm only human." But the thing is that the more we understand that we are, the authentic self is awareness, and awareness is there, and awareness is everywhere, that we're not just human beings, then the whole scope of how we deal with ourselves spiritually and how we understand how the world is working. Like, do you see what I mean? It's
yes.
right now when
Every time that we say we're only human, we're still making ourselves have a label. But when
yeah,
we release ourselves from that aspect of just being human, then the consciousness and the awareness expands.
right. And I think that's where your other book comes in. It's
hmm
explaining the same way, that you don't have to be tied to tribal, or
No.
yes, you were, physical. The physical body was born through lineage. Yes, not because each each person was having a human incarnation, and through that human incarnation and human story, they had you know, someone else as part of that story until it got to be you and me in our story right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
for me, when you finally realize that you are not just the body and you're not just the mind, you're not just a human being, you're not just that, you are awareness. And that's just another word to call source, another title. It doesn't matter what source has what is here. Source has always been here, and source will always be here. There was no birth for source, and there's no death for source. It just is. And source is you and me having a human interaction, and then we're taking a projector of our source and we're projecting it out on source, right?
I just had this really bizarre idea that just came into my head, and it was the idea of when we talk about the concept of AI. And AI, instead of it being artificial intelligence, was authentic intelligence. And what if there is the
Mm.
aspects of even when it, and then the phone went off. What if there is this idea of, oh geez, I just had it. What if there's this idea once we understand like how the AI is that there's like that integration of just the awareness and knowing, and then almost like almost like an enmeshment starts to happen,
Yeah.
but
Well,
being able to navigate.
think of it this way: close your eyes, just close them, take a deep breath, a couple of deep breaths in, and then take away your body. Don't visualize your body, don't visualize your mind, just keep breathing, right? What's left?
Knowing,
Awareness, knowing, right?
sound.
Knowing, yeah. Vibration,
Mm-hmm.
vibration, right? And then when you go even deeper, the sounds don't even sound like horns or people talking, or they just sound like vibrations, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
take away the mind and you take away the body, what's always left and always there is awareness. You are the awareness.
I did feel my fairy wings, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yes, you are awareness. Awareness has always been there, or awareness will always be there, right? But your
Mm-hmm.
story in awareness, awareness is having a human incarnation, feeling, seeing, and being through you as physicality. And that's okay. See, we as human beings, we have put so much emphasis on trying to figure out God and make sense of God or source or whatnot in order to define ourselves when God gave us the definition of it already, right? Let's see. Bernice says we constantly sometimes try to fight our minds and thoughts. The more you resist, which is fighting,
Mm-hmm.
resist. So if you just let your mind and your thoughts flow, then you get to be the observer of your thought, and you get to ask a question. Am I the thought,
That's
or am I the observer of the thought? And then you get to ask another question, thought-provoking question, which is this thought for my greater good? Is it for the greater good of my story? Is it
I
good?
have to share.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So when you were talking and you were saying like the mind to go away from the body, as I opened my eyes and I look over, I have my Cheshire cat back. And it's the head leaving the body.
Yes. See? Yeah, definitely. So let me read some more.
Mm-hmm.
So let me start from here because a couple of more people came in. Ask yourself a question. Am I the one suffering, or am I the one that is aware of the suffering? The truth is that you are the one that is aware of the suffering rather than the one suffering. Be very aware. Um, be very aware when you hear yourself say, I believe, or I don't believe, because it immediately following those words is a belief. Okay? Be very aware when you hear yourself say, I think or I don't think, because most likely what will follow that will be revealed as a belief. You can give the subconscious mind an instruction to highlight your beliefs for you so you can become more aware of them. Say, show me my beliefs clearly one by one. So you become aware of each and every one of them. To expose your beliefs, become aware of your reaction. Welcome any and all feelings of resistance. To free yourself from any attachment or problem, welcome them and just stay as awareness. If you are not feeling happy, remember to welcome any feeling that isn't happiness and allow it to be present without trying to change it or get rid of it. All right? Awareness says yes to absolutely everything. Awareness allows for the freedom of everything to be just the way it is, because the world and everything in it is awareness. It's your own self. Stop and be present right now, because awareness can only be recognized in the present moment. Okay, so basically your awareness, and you get to say, show me my beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Because at some point, there are beliefs that we received from day one, day zero. Okay, I say day one, the first day of birth. Actually, yeah.
Tarilayan takamadata isito kalamalatian tantakada isino winimian tantingana isilawe almananigada isito lamadala nito himoya lasa tauria tantaga haniman nangana sa taa kala alawasatan temoya sa takalana.
You see, of course. From the day we're in the womb, in the bukoshiente,
Tarilang isakata tanimiliasata.
yes, we are listening to our parents when that hearing and seeing and feeling as a baby become prominent vibration. Okay, we are hearing and seeing our parents and what they say,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we're getting downloads from our parents, from what our parents told them, and from that whole kind of thing, because those are the beliefs that our parents had. Not wrong, not bad, not it could have been better. It just was, right? And as children, for a brief period of time, if we're not told that something's wrong, or not to do that, or we don't do that, or we start we start getting the downloads verbally early. Most of us have those magical moments where we are free to be awareness at its fullest. And then sometime around, somewhere about, I don't know, somewhere between 8 and 10, it used to be thought that children became cognitive about 10, but I think it's much earlier than that, because I know I've always had the most intense questions for a little kid. I was always told as an adult, you know, you're really intense in that question. I don't know how to answer that. You know
Hmm.
that, but
And
we get
you're
all.
intense, you're too much, and those are the things that shut us down.
Yeah,
And the I remember what the title is. So I have like a regular phone now, so I can actually like go places besides being stuck in two locations. So I'm very thankful about that.
uh-huh.
But it's adult children of emotionally immature parents. How to heal from distant, rejecting, or self-involved parents.
Right, right. So if if I was going to tell, if you're going to, if you're helping a young child, um, for me, if you're helping a young child, it's hard to explain to a young child about ego and whatnot. But I'm quite sure that book would probably help them, you know, help them through that. But as they become older and they're starting out searching, just like all of us did at one point, you get to the point where you have to go a lot once they start their spiritual awakening. And sometimes the dark night of the soul will catapult a person into a spiritual awakening, and they're not even knowing that they're going through that that spiritual movement. And a lot of people will go to a psychiatrist or a shrink because they're not understanding that it's spiritually driven and spiritually, you know, uh, uh, vibrationally being moved and being shifted. So they go into the world trying to seek, well, you know, help me, I think I'm going crazy, that kind of thing. And once they, you know, and hopefully once they start learning, they come to you and they come to me and they come to a lot of people who are following us now. And they need to understand what their authenticity is in them. And the authenticity, once you can, you know, peel back all those layers or help a person to say, well, look, you've got a lot of old stories. Let's find out what they are. Some people want you to hold their hand through finding out the old stories because the old stories hurt. They don't know how to be an observer, but they need someone to help them learn how to be an observer of all those old thoughts. Case in point, I will say
Mm-hmm.
I know nothing about anything that Johnny Depp has been through, but you do know that he's been through a lot as, as a child because he continuously, upon occasion, will uh, choose the same women that um, uh, allow him to. Um, I don't even think he gets triggers pushed. I think he just goes into a depressed him or a him that is guarded.
The role self.
Yes. And
And for actors, it's easy for them to channel that because that's what they identify with. And it's
right.
interesting that you're mentioning that because um, the other day, like on a happenstance, I was listening to on a Snapchat about Michael J. Fox. Did you know that Michael J. Fox dropped out of school in eighth grade to
No,
pursue being an actor?
no, I didn't
And
know.
then when he found out about his Parkinson's, he never he didn't even really stop doing acting for a while. He changed things up, but when it got really bad, that's when he knew he had to take a step back. But he was still doing things, and even when it came to how long he hid it, he hid it for a long time.
Right.
But it was the moment that he accepted his authentic self is when things drastically shifted for him.
Yes.
And even when it came to his acting roles, some of his most amazing, even when some of them were like even cameo pieces, like when he cameoed in Scrubs. I'm gonna have to rewatch it as one of the doctors or something. He
Right.
didn't have to be. anybody else but himself. His actor role was what helped him discover who he was, but
Right.
then realize that he didn't have to have the label of being an actor at that point. It was just, as you said, it just is.
It just is. Right. And not to say anything, I think for me, there was
Mm-hmm.
all maybe one thing that Johnny Depp, uh, uh, everything I loved. And there was one thing that it was questionable because I think it wasn't a great choice for him, but it wasn't my choice. That was his choice, his perception.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And um, if somebody were to help him through showing him where his stories were, not because not trying to go back and fix his mother or his father or whatnot, but
Yeah.
identifying those stories,
Yeah.
he would be able to see the authentic self and be able to make choices for his greater good. You know,
Mm-hmm.
not to say he hasn't been. I don't know. I don't know what his spirituality is about. I don't know if he meditates or whatnot. But I just know that usually I don't follow uh, actors and actresses, or I don't follow any of their stuff. You know, if they're going through court cases or any of that. But for some reason, um, Source has been having me occasionally follow it because what happened is with that, um, I have a couple of uh, close family members who are men who are going through that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say they're not as on a spiritual note, seeing things like the ego and old stories and whatnot. And this is something that I know Source wants me to really kind of embark on as far as spirituality. Do you know what I mean? What I mean, they're kind of making waves in the world about it, but there are a lot of men that aren't coming forward in the story, you know, dealing with their old stories. So especially men. Men have this, this glossed over old story that has been there for, since the, early 1900s at least, of
At
men.
least. Yeah.
Men don't cry, men don't this, men don't this, all these stories,
Yeah.
and to beef up and make, uh, you know, a man a Superman. But what happened is, men have been, the story has been told so long that men haven't been able to tap in to who
Mm-hmm.
authentically as
And then when we have the point when we have men that do start tapping into their divine potentials, then all of a sudden they're starting to see things from our point of view, and the masses do the blame, blame and shame and everything, and
right.
it's
Well,
it's sad. I encourage my kids to have their moments. Now, don't get me wrong, me also being on the spectrum as well as my sons, my older son probably has ADHD. I don't know about anything else, but me and my younger, one of the most difficult moments that I've ever had is when I'm having a meltdown simultaneously while my child is. Because then in that moment, I have to honor that I am feeling a way, but then I have to remember that I'm mom.
right, right,
So when he's having a meltdown, he's waiting for me to show up for him.
right. And,
And
and
in that moment, you
I,
sometimes can't.
yeah, I think in that moment, I think this is why you're on here now. I just heard
Mm-hmm.
you say with your other son that he has this ADHD. He had
Yeah.
a younger son and whatnot. You're claiming it.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard because
It is.
it's been diagnosed before we've had this conversation. So I know
Mm-hmm.
it's right. And it's hard to retrain your mind with your mind because and anybody who's kind of listening to this right now, for me, it was hard for me to retrain my mind with my mind.
Yep.
It was like,
You don't look
I,
that way. I didn't know that there's something wrong with you. It's like, no, I'm different. There's nothing wrong with me.
right, right. But for, yeah, there's nothing, no. It's, first off, it's the way your mind works. And it's a beautiful way your mind works. You have been told all your life through an old story that because your mind doesn't work like somebody else who thought that they had the perfect mind, that they this is what perfection is. It's based off of these people who can think in a straight line and figure everything out in a straight line, and that's the way it is. You have been taught, just like all the rest of us, that you're a human being. You have not been taught that you are a spiritual being having a human incarnation.
Mm-hmm.
Came on the scene perfectly imperfect. You know what the perfect part is? It's awareness, it's consciousness of God. And then the imperfect part is the ability for you to learn and grow and expand. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's what most of the world that we're pulling apart from or
Mm-hmm.
don't get yet. That all the labels that we as human beings, anybody in this room right now, has
Mm-hmm.
was labels that were given to us. Either yeah, sometimes it was shoved on us, or sometimes it just was handed down generation to generation until somebody said, you turn around and ask somebody, why do you do that? And somebody will say to you, oh, it's always been done that way.
Oh, that phrase.
Yes,
Oh, I don't know why, but ooh.
yes, right.
Did you
But
have a, was
but
there a past loved one that had really bad smoker's lung
mhm.
in your family?
Do I
Because
have?
somebody that passed that had really bad smoker's lung because my chest, when I was about to talk, got like congested out of nowhere. Like my cold or whatever I have left over from this RSV is in my sinuses. So for whatever like just came into my chest, I was like, that's not mine. What's
Uh,
this?
not a person that's
It's the
past.
phrase. That phrase was something that was so triggering to you as a kid.
Yeah,
Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo.
yeah. But it wasn't smoker's lungs or anything like that. I'm getting I am uh, uh, healing. My body is healing from something that my ego is upset with me because I did not give it a name.
Mm-hmm.
I have, just see, a mucus is moving through my body
Mm-hmm.
and relieving itself. So,
Tanaman sa tabalada ay gisita uwasikataba.
yeah, yeah, no, yeah, Badona, Yishi, yeah, Teotaki, Ataki, Moto, Chia, Tikabalagia, Noto, Shia, Shanata, Laki, Makuada, yeah, Makoya, Shinjataki.
Yeah, it's not welcome in your body anymore.
No, it's not, you
Peel
know,
it off a sticker. Bye.
yeah, bye, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my ego is it's staying in the back seat. I'm going to tell you guys, it's a wonderful thing to be able to hear my body, my soul, and my mind have a conversation and just be an observer of the conversation without the ego. My mind is going you know now when I have a thought, if it's because you're gonna have thoughts about, just in case somebody says something, did you watch the news, blah blah blah, and you say, oh yeah, for a minute, or whatnot, and
Yeah.
you let it go, and your mind goes there for a minute, and I'll just go, am I observing this? Do we have another thought that we can have? And my mind goes, oh yeah, let's go to the next one. And it's just kind of like that. Great. Oh yeah, Avatar.
Avatar has so much underlining stuff that it's amazing how it was Spielberg that did that if I remember correctly. The fact that it took so long for these movies to be made and created, but there's so much. I feel there's so much downloaded information like throughout the movie, let alone like the story in itself. And what I also find very profound, especially when we have like these conversations, especially when we're activating each other through our light languages, and I've been getting some really interesting ones. I've been getting dragon. I've been getting fairy. Fairy is very interesting because it's so fast, and it's just like I don't, and I think I might have almost picked up on something almost energetically like gnomish the other day, but I was just like, I don't. This is something different. I don't necessarily know what that's all about.
Hold on.
Oh.
My soon sun moon truth.
Mhm.
Take care. Have a great
Bye,
day.
Some in Truth. They came in as soon as we were talking about having our truth and our authenticity. Also, Marvel includes Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Black Panther. All do have underlying spiritual aspects. Yes,
They
they
do.
started to branch off more that way
Yeah.
because even for the longest time, Marvel versus DC, Marvel stood away from anything that was out of the ordinary until DC started showing more of the darker storylines of the characters and more of the mosaic openness. Now, when I say mosaic, when I'm online, I'm referring to anything that is identified necessarily outside of being just masculine or feminine. So LGBTQ, transgender, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So that's how I use the word mosaic,
Right.
because there's just the profundity of it is just like,
Yeah. I think what I
yeah,
like about, well, I've always been a kid. Okay. I've always been a kid that's been into sci-fi, into monster movies, into anything that is is inner-worldly, that things
same.
in our inside our
Oh
world.
yeah, I grew up with Godzilla, 150%.
I was trying to get a way to say that without anybody laughing because uh, I I grew up on Godzilla movies. I grew up on the old ones where now you watch them and you can actually see them as toy trucks. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Well, also, fun fact: the original Godzilla. Did you know that when they had to do those takes, they had to shoot the takes in like short increments because there was no breathing apparatuses. There like the costume. They had to do it in, I think it was like 30-second to 40-second bursts because when they would do the acting, the actor couldn't breathe in the suit.
right, right. Yeah, I read that. I read that. Um,
Yeah.
the first experience in comic for me was Dragon. Yes, Dragon Ball Z. Yes, yes.
Oh, that was such
Of
an
course,
interesting series.
way back, because I grew up with uh, uh, series like Twilight Zone and Chiller and um,
Twilight Zone. I like Twilight Zone.
yeah, and they also, I think they even before that, Saturday, every Saturday evening at 6, they would have a movie, made for TV movie, from 6 to 8, and it would be, who knows, they might host Godzilla, or they might do. I remember they did a movie called The Crawling Eye, and it was an eye that came from space, and it was in the mountains of the snow Indies or whatnot, and they just had a lot of things that were otherworldly, right? And they dared to do it because it was because they could sell it as make believe, and
Hmm.
most of humanity only take it as make believe. That could never happen, and that was a good escape for them, for people's minds. Also, they could do sell their have the commercials and sell their Pepsis and Cokes and stuff. And yes, back
Oh my
uh, in,
product placement back then. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
and this was well before Pepsi came along. Coke was the main. Coca-Cola didn't have any competitors back then. So I'm 65, solar returns. So go check it back then. I was born 1957. So, you know, but for me, even though I grew up in the 60s, I watched a lot of stuff that was 50s oriented. right,
I grew up a lot with that as well. And like one of the first movies that I saw that I know I should not have seen at my age, like I saw Predator when I was a kid. I thought it was a weird looking pig. But because my brain registered it that way, it didn't scare me.
right.
But I also grew up with oh god, what was that cartoon? There was that with the little seal, Seabert the seal. Um, there was like Eureka's Castle, Fraggle Rock.
Uh,
Uh, there was a show called Zoobilee Zoo. I don't know if you remember that one.
I think we are just looking for the Chemical X from Powerpuff Girls series. Oh, Powerpuff Girls, that would be my children. Uh, of course, my children are in their 40s now. That would have been
Mhm.
their generation. But
Sugar, spice, and everything nice.
yeah, but we've always been fascinated with. We've always been fascinated. At least one major question: who am I? Right? Because that question has been downloaded into us from, even before Galileo, even before people, they looked up at the sky and the sky was so much bigger than them, so much vast than them. They couldn't figure out how the stars stayed in the sky. They couldn't figure out all that. And so it's always been a question that has been asked of humanity is, who am I? And then there must be something greater than me to hold those stars up. If they knew they weren't holding them up, something was holding them up. And now we kind of fast forward. Here we are, 2022, and more
Hmm.
are asking, well, I believe in something greater than me, but I don't believe it as um, uh, 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 original religion has taught me.
It's interesting
Right,
now that people are choosing spiritualism over being religious,
right,
and how much the vastness of knowledge and the vastness of um the like um like not only like the vastness of it, but also like the expansion of the mind,
right.
because we are not just
Well,
saying, oh, like you
the,
said, well, it's just done this way.
yeah, it's the growth of it, the
Yeah.
the expansiveness of it.
Yeah.
Religion has always capped you at what questions you can ask because there were answers that they were not going to give.
Mhm.
See, the difference is there are, let's put it this way, some religions, okay,
Mhm.
your major religions, right?
Recovered Catholic.
Right. Baptist,
Hmm.
Baptist, born again Christian kind of thing. And there
Yeah.
only be certain answers. And this is even in Judaism, because Judaism, they can't answer the question if you go beyond that. Because my question was, why would God create us all if they were only gonna if God was only gonna have a few chosen?
Ooh.
So
Yep.
and when I asked that question, the rabbi back then, because I was allowed to go to different churches and have study, there either have Bible studies or whatnot, or go and listen to sermons and stuff, because that,
Same.
if I asked my mother that question, she would just put her hands on her hips and she'd go, I don't have an answer, but go find it.
Hmm.
And it was never, no, we're Baptists, you can't go to any other church. She was going to go, oh, you've
That
got,
was part of the family. I didn't have that too much. I was able to go with like if I stayed the night somewhere and it was like the weekend and they'd go to church, I was allowed to go to their churches. But I did find it interesting that when I would ask questions about different religions or cultures, one of the phrases that was usually used, well, that's just how they do it there.
Yeah, that's just how, because
But I
yeah,
remember the first time I questioned the church, and it was right after I got communion, or I was learning about communion.
hold on a second.
And yeah,
Hold on. Carrie says, sometimes I feel we have to defend to defend the true nature of our spirituality, and maybe not at all. For I belong Hinduism. You know what? I'm gonna give you the best for me how I did it is
mm,
now, yes, I had a mother who allowed me to go to, whenever I had a question that was outside of the religion that I had. But the
mhm.
thing about it is, while you're inside your religion and you're seeking spirituality, you can seek it without having to require yourself to tell anybody what you're doing. You can still go and serve our source, because source is everywhere. Source is, because source is so loving, source is not going to say that your Hinduism isn't a choice.
Hmm.
It's a choice for you right then, until until through your seeking you find something different or more profound, or something that works better for your greater good, right?
Or even like how in Hindu, I think it's the Hinduism culture where, like when it came to Shakti and creating Ganesh
Mm-hmm.
from her son being murdered, there was the action of everything being like the all encompassing and just taking that moment. And when it comes to like those times of action, and also like when it comes to the different cultures, I don't know if you've ever seen American Gods. I think honestly the way the American Gods kind of talked about like this concept of like when you pass, you go to whatever your energy source, your energy connection goes to that place. So if you believe in Valhalla, your spirit goes to Valhalla. If you believe in heaven, whatever your idea, your aspect of your energy goes to heaven. But the idea of it just being one place, I was never able to sit well with.
Yeah, well, for it's the same thing with me.
Yeah.
I trust the source for future, and respect my religion to be here at the position to embrace spirituality. Yes,
Hmm.
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Hmm.
You don't have to make a choice. You just
No.
you have to be open to the growth and expansion of source. And
Yeah.
then when um, when you ask that the next question, and you're observing yourself in your awareness as awareness, you get to say, show me an old story, show me myself, show me my beliefs, because then it becomes, and it always has been, about you and your beliefs, not you, the church, and your belief. Any church, any religious affiliation, but just you and your belief. And when you're ready to change that belief, if it no longer serves you, then you get to say, after showing me that belief, you get to say, well, I'm the one that I'm the one that's beholding it. I'm going to delete it. But
Mm.
I'm tell you now that when you delete an old story, if you don't have a new story, just like a computer, for that software, there's going to be another old story that's going to take its place.
Hmm.
It may not resonate with you right at that moment, but if you delete that old story, you have to have a new story. So my question has always been, what's next for me? what's next? What, or more better, even as a kid, it's always been what now? And I was
Hmm.
never told not to have that story.
Let's see. I love all religions as well. I have an Om pendant in my neck, on your neck, three cross pendant earpieces, and a 718 Muslim number on my vehicle plate. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I work with multi-dimensional pantheons. Like, so when I do readings, I may work more with like Vikings, or I guess now I need to start doing research with Nyx. But for a very long time, like one of my first guides was Athena. And then I found out that my mom and my dad, even though they were Catholic, got married in the Church of St. Bridget.
Okay. So yeah.
So Owl has literally been in my life
Hmm.
since I was born
Since you were
at this time.
right.
And I love the fact. So before I lose track of my thought, so when I had gone through the communion process, we
Hmm.
learned about the tabernacle.
Hmm.
And then we learned about the body and the blood of Christ. Now, here's the thing. I should have known back then that's where my autism should have been sticking out, because the first thing that went through my brain is a body cannot fit in that thing. But I have to go look in there anyway. And the adults were so mad that I even went anywhere near it. Was like, what are you doing? So you said the body and the blood of Christ is in there. I want to go see it.
Right. Right.
Knowing that now, that's something that I did. So in my brain, I'm like, how did they not know I was autistic?
I don't, you know what? Because the thing is, any other kid would have did it too.
True. I think I was just the one that said the quiet,
One that
what's
did,
the word?
yeah,
The quiet part out loud. We say the quiet part out loud. I've always been like that.
yeah.
And,
But there's been a
yeah.
question. There's always been a question, and when things, things didn't, the puzzle pieces didn't fit, I was always asking, okay, how come it, you know, this kind of thing. Now, for me, and I don't knock any religion, this thing, because
Same.
for me, I just tell you what's going on for me. I just tell you
Yeah.
some of the things that I went through. I know it's a tough thing for people who are coming out of who are taking their road, their spiritual road, their whatever they might call it, their wake up call, their spiritual work, their spiritual awakening, and they're awakening out of um,
Hmm.
religious paths and religious dogmas and religious stories. And it's hard because those religious stories are held by people that they love. You know, some people, they've always been Catholic, and they've always gone to church as a family, and they always show up for after, they go to church, they have they have the family dinner and blah blah blah. And it's the same way with being Baptist or whatnot. You have people that are very connected to you, that makes traveling the road, traveling your spiritual road a little bit harder than normal, because you don't know of all the stories that have been uh, ingrained in you. You don't
Hmm.
understand why you get to a point, and then it's kind of like you're walking through the jungle, and you're walking on solid ground, and the mud gets a little bit deeper, and your feet it gets harder to pull your feet out of the mud, and all of a sudden you hit quicksand, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of people, that's what they go through. It's kind of like, okay, well, how do I continue on my spiritual path, trying to, because I know that there's something that I need to find, but I feel like I'm just outside of my old religious kind of things, and I'm in the quicksand, but I want to walk forward. And it's because they don't know that they have those stories that they do have to let go of. And you're having they're having people tell them that it's okay, we're going to deal with the old story, and then we're going to give you a new story, and we're going to lay that story on top of it. What happens when you lay a story on top of an already active story? Okay, so
It gets,
anybody.
no, I thought it was actually really interesting because of the fact two things. So you were talking about like how like steering things and driving when it comes to like our spiritualism and whatnot. And
Right.
I'm looking at the steering wheel of the Mario Kart game, and the first thing I look at is the M in the center, but I don't hear Mario. I hear Archangel Michael, and I'm just like, yep.
What? Yep. You know.
And there's the cross for the directional panel.
Yes.
And at the top, there's this tiny little box
Right.
above the home. Two sides, you have the positive and the negative of the aspects. Then you have items and assigning. So I'm trying to figure out when you were talking about like the story overlapping another story. I was working on my children's book right before I moved into my in-laws because I lost my home.
Mm-hmm.
And I got so upset because I was like, I'm actively working on this. Like, I want to get this done. Like, I have this vision and these ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found these two of my son's books that he loved to read. One of them is Tower to the Moon. And the other one that I'm being told that I need to show you when we were talking about like the different levels of love and stuff is called Love Monster.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that came through my mind is towards the end, the story is about like the love monster not fitting in. So
Mm-hmm.
like the monster is a little bit funny looking to say the least.
Yeah.
He lives in a world of cute fluffy things, and it's like a official pile of extreme cuteness.
Right.
But he's all the way over here.
Right.
And it talks about like how people love kittens and puppies and bunnies. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously, cute and fluffy things. But nobody likes a slightly hairy, I suppose, a bit googly-eyed monster. Poor monster. So he goes through this journey of trying to find what he's looking for.
Right.
Somebody that can understand him, understand his level of love. Doesn't even have to be a language. Because, again, like with the frequency of thank you, even if we say it in a different language, it's still that frequency.
Right.
And even if we use another level of love, it's still love.
Right.
Still a frequency. So at the end of the book it says, so the monster has lost all of his oomph, decided it was time to give up and go home. And there's like the big bus. And then at the end it says, but in the blink of a googly eye, everything changed.
Right. Yeah. Everything. Everything changed.
Everything changed.
Yeah. The the thing with everything can change, but the thing with your is it goes with the most the the loudest and the most active um thought, or the
I
most.
ended up writing my book.
Right.
Most of a part of it, like a couple of nights ago. I just blitzed it through.
Right. So
Weeks.
lay
Nothing.
a new so when you lay a new software on top of an old software, your computer is always going to choose the old software.
Yep.
Right. Or a it's always going to give you a choice that you have to choose.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And a lot of the time with ego, it just
Mm-hmm.
automatically goes to the loudest vibrational software that you have. So
Right.
that's why you have to delete the software, and you have to upload new software that your mind is going to, that your body, mind, soul is going to take in through the
Mm-hmm.
through the action. And and that's kind of like, you have to be aware of your old beliefs. You do. And most of the time you can be aware of your old beliefs, because when you get triggered by something, and this is what I was talking before you came into the live, when you get
Uh-huh.
triggered by something, it's not because the other person triggered you. It's because that trigger was already in there with an old story, with an old paradigm, with an old belief that no longer is serving you, and that's why it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yes, sometimes you don't have to go sifting and sorting and trying to figure out what it is that you need to, old stories that you need to, it's like going in and going, okay, I'm going to give some stuff away to Goodwill, and then going and sifting and sorting through your closet and throwing everything away, blah, 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 into, trying to figure out what you want to,
I love that. Triggers are your release. And also, a lot of the times when you trigger somebody else, you are helping them to heal and release at the same time. I had a situation with my in-law and she got really, really nasty with me. And then to like add more to the nastiness, she sent me this long, dragged out email about how I was a horrible parent and doing all of these things. And the reason why I cleaned up the room to sort everything out was to set up my social media, when no, I was actually giving my kids more space to actually play in this space. But halfway through, for the last month, I've been sick. So because I remember when I was a kid, when I had to do a chore, it was like right then and there. And if I didn't, I would immediately get punished.
mm-hmm,
Not realizing that for me, certain things would take more time,
mm-hmm.
whether I was sick or not. I could be healthy as a horse, but once I
This,
once I hit that burnout point,
he's waving.
At level 15,
you're at level 15.
I can have a demon shield.
A demon shield.
Okay,
Sounds pretty cool.
It's at 15.
Thank you for sharing.
You
yeah,
want to come see?
I like that, Adina. Yeah. Why, get in front of the camera, man.
Come here.
Let's see
You're
your
okay.
face. So you got the demon shield?
It's at 15.
Is that 15? Okay, so what do you have to play to use the demon shield? Who are you being protected from?
It's this, so basically you run around, you kill stuff, you get money, you buy stuff, you upgrade your land, you get life force instances. That's what leveled me up last, and now I can have the demon shield. If
Mhm.
you kill a demon with the shield, you get it. Before you kill him, you get it because he drops it,
Oh,
and then starts using his club.
okay.
So if you're fast enough, you can grab it, and then if you die, it's okay. You still have it.
Oh, okay.
That was a download.
My grandson plays too.
That was a download. But that's how it happens. Our children are so aware to our surroundings. So, like, for instance, before I moved, and I know that our collective was starting to shift, and I set the intention of sealing or freezing the idea of scarcity.
Right.
The stipulation that I didn't realize that I put with love intentions is anyone that is of my highest good that is connected to me will also connect to their success and their abundance.
Right.
And it's interesting, when I dipped out for a while and then I started hearing some of the in-between things that were on Instagram or Discord or whatever. And I've been staying out of everything because I was told by my guides that I was in the space of being an observer,
Mm-hmm.
which, being an Aries sun
Mm-hmm.
and an Aquarius moon, Cancer rising, it's very difficult for me to do
Oh, okay.
because my natural thing is I fix.
Yeah.
So when he was born, there was a conversation between a past partner of his father's and the person that he was trying to be with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I don't think I could do it again. And I was so mad at Jeff. No. I was so mad at her, and I said, anybody can love a child if they choose it. If you are with somebody with a child, whether you know it or not, there is an unwritten law that that's part of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to like those energies in itself, when somebody would try to make like an excuse of, oh, well, I never wanted kids, then don't be with a person that has a kid.
Right. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm going to just add this in there that
Sure.
you're attracted. The vibrations for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The person doesn't
making a lot of noise. Stop.
Find pieces.
for some reason end up with each other, it's because vibrationally at some point they attracted each other.
Yep.
Whether it's right or not, whether it works or not, that's just how.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the part that I thought was funny was 12 hours later, she quoted my words.
Uh-huh. Well, you were there to say those words to her so that it would resonate with her.
Yep. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I did.
Yeah. You know,
Because
so
48 hours of labor.
wow.
Not me. He didn't want to come out. But he told me I pushed him out before. I said, buddy, I was there the night you were born. Don't tell your mom. But the energies that recognize each other. I know as soon as one of my reader friends told me, and you can even probably feel the presence of his parental protection when it comes to me, even now.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there are some moments, it doesn't happen often, but there are some moments where he gives me the dad look, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. So,
but it's the memory.
You know, we're all born. A lot of us are. Our souls are a lot older than we.
Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we think that our soul was a new soul when we were because we were born anew. Our bodies were new, but our souls are our spiritual part of the consciousness of God that is intertwined with us. If it's never been born and it can never die, it's been around for millennia or more. Do you know what I mean? And it's traversed through infinite. You know, and you know, so and yeah, he's gonna probably give you that dad face or that father influence, like what face, because he knows more than you think he knows. And it's not about he knows more than you think he knows about being human, and it's not about anything about ADHD or ADD, any title that we can put on him. It's just that he's open to, you know, allowing, because he's just a kid, and he's open to allowing to things just being.
Ooh, he's not just a kid. He's just consciousness.
Yes.
Oh,
there you go.
I just heard it. No, he's not just a kid. He's consciousness. He's awareness. I was like,
he's awareness.
That's good.
Carrie, I see triggers as set points on lessons we have to. Yes. Hey,
see, I love that. Pop quiz. I love that. Like, have you been paying attention? We're going to make sure you're paying attention. Here you go.
Yeah. Well, Carrie had said, triggers are my release. And then Fifi said, I see triggers as checkpoints. Yes, they are. Think, Fifi, if you want to come on with us, please do.
I missed your face.
Yeah. The thing is, triggers are check. They are the part of us that happen that the greater the Fifi drew a picture of what source is and what our soul is and how it's interconnected into this body. We are awareness, but how it connects to our body and mind. And the thing is, our triggers in our, whether we call it duality, whether we call it illusion or whatnot, are how we are going to see when we need to change our story. Okay? And it's not about someone else changing our story. It's about us, the awareness that we are, saying, okay, I'm part of this human experience. What do I want to do now? What do I want to do next? And it could be as simple as, who am I going to serve? Oh, Fifi says, I miss you too. Oh, he's cleaning house. All right. Fifi, come
I
in.
was folding laundry, Fee. That is not an excuse in this house. I'm still doing laundry, and I'm also putting apparently together a Power Ranger that he hasn't touched in God knows how long.
Oh, he's doing that because he that's his way of saying he loves me. I'm into Power Rangers.
Who is your favorite?
The favorite was the pink one. Was it pink
He,
one?
he was building the pink one and said, I couldn't find the piece. I couldn't find the piece.
Oh,
I found it.
and found it.
And he held up my favorite, which was the Yellow Ranger. I used to love Trini.
Uh-huh.
Everybody else wanted to be the Pink Ranger. I said, but I want to be the Yellow Ranger. She's the saber-toothed tiger. I don't want to be a bird.
Oh,
It's a
see,
pterodactyl.
sorry, that's one of my guides. So birds are my. I just found that out. That was just revealed to me that birds are my guides. And I after I came out, I went, well, wait, aren't you going to tell me which one? And Source told me all of them. Just went, okay, who am I to argue? But yes, the pink one is my favorite. All right, bye bye, Carrie. Have a great
Bye,
time.
Carrie. It was nice meeting you.
Yeah,
Nice connected to your energy.
this live is gonna be. But anyway, when we
I'm just enjoying the conversation, and I love the fact that, like, when you talk, I almost feel like I'm hearing myself talking, and then when I'm talking, I feel like I'm hearing you talking. It's this really interesting synchronicity.
yeah,
I need a big
but
red long piece.
my back has been
Can't
itchy
find it.
because I've been using the grass, so my back is, so I've just realized I'm here scratching my back, and it's like, what does that look like? But anybody who knows me, I'm fine. Let's see.
There's
Bernice says,
the tail.
likes bird, tell me it's going to be good. I feel it. Yes.
Oh yeah, I have most of the time I connect more with like ravens, but I've noticed like lately there's been all kinds of birds, so it's interesting that you were bringing that up.
Yeah. Well, I was expecting, okay, I'm gonna, one of my animal guides is the lioness, and then my other animal guide is the alligator. And then, so when this next guide was revealed to me, I expected it to be like, oh, a sparrow or blue jay or whatnot. And it just said birds. Well, wait, which one? All of them. And I went, oh, okay, and this is all in my meditation. So it was like, oh, okay, you know, but I'm just definitely I love the fact that we connected because it just through us we were able to show people how to be how to be just being awareness. That's what I want. How I wanted to say it. We are awareness. Cute batchcha cut batchcha. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name.
Is this supposed to be cute Baka?
Chewbacca. Oh,
3756?
is that like Chewbacca?
That's what I was going to ask.
But I have no idea. I don't speak that.
Mine. Is that Spreche Deutsch?
Oh, is that your?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Either that or they're trying to write in light language. I've done that a few times, and I'm like, nobody's going to understand this. And then my guys will be like, the people that need to understand will.
Will. Yes. Yes. That's true. Ante ishi no tukushia. Yenda te hishi no tukuai.
Tisita tabuela takalaata. Inamanangalandi. Isitawita namana.
Yeah. Kai
This.
Piashina te e ma nai ia toshine te chukule emba. Pai shina te e shona toku shiana e malay shia da kueshi. Pe to.
Work. And leg fell off.
It says something about the leg falling off.
He said the falling off.
The leg fell off.
Oh. So what I'm gonna do is I'm getting this call from Source to open this book wherever I open it at.
And I'm getting called to grab my blocks. Let's do some inner child work.
Mom, I found blue.
Is Blue here? My son just said, is Blue here? Oh, I need to find Blue.
Found him.
I'm going to laugh if Blue shows up.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, this is where I opened to 224.
I'm seen here.
A couple of days ago.
Nah.
224. What you saying, baby?
Where's Red?
Where's Red?
And then something just popped up on my phone that said the medicated ginger. What?
Okay, so before I go and before we end it, this says I opened to page 224, the first paragraph, and it says, "Don't worry about anything at all. You are not here by accident. This form is just a costume for a while. But the one who is behind the costume, this one is eternal. You must know this. If you know this and trust this, you don't have to worry about anything. What happened to me can happen to you. You may not believe it is possible to become free, to cease suffering, to have joy running like a warm stream beneath every day, no matter what the day brings you. But I'm here to tell you that it is possible." Hold on a second. He wrote Hindi in the chat.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and I think that's what my soul and Source were sorting out for me. That's why I went ahead and went, oh, okay.
That makes sense. And the reason why I thought German for a minute was because of mine, because MEI, and it means my in German.
Okay.
But again, the theory that Pangea happened, that we've been separated, isn't true.
Oh, yeah.
It's just deeper in.
Yes, deeper in.
But yeah, it never separated.
No.
That's what I keep getting told. It wasn't separated. It wasn't separated. We all have the same language at the core center of everything. We all have the same language.
Right.
So when we talk to each other in our light language, light language, words are hard. I feel that those are the moments when we, like, for me, like when I speak in light language to another person, especially when I know they're from my soul tribe,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a tingling and like a pulsing kind of sensation and like chills, because it's just that there's that acknowledgement. Could you please stop rummaging for 2 seconds? Thank you. It's that idea.
Well, we were talking about rummaging through our he's rummaging through stuff.
Yeah.
Where it says the guy in the pit has red and a smile. Maybe that.
Oh.
The guy in the picture, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And you're wearing red today.
So let me finish reading. Where did I stop at? What happened to you can happen to me. You may not believe this is possible, to become free, to cease suffering, to have joy running like a warm stream beneath every day, no matter what the day brings you. But I'm here to tell you it is possible. With your mind still, the infinite being that you are, who knows everything, is in charge. Source is in charge every day, every second. And guess what? We are Source. And guess what? Source is aware. So you will have complete clarity. You will never suffer again from confusion or certainty. And Source wants me to let you know that it doesn't mean that you won't make choices and you won't have situations and circumstances come up. It just means that you won't allow them to be you. The circumstance will not be you. The uncertainty will not be you. You will just be the observer of it. We are supposed to function completely from intuition. The moment you act from the intuition you are, your life will be beautiful. So, do you want to go ahead and pull a block?
I got the crab on the island. Hold on, let's see if I can.
The crab on the island.
But it was sideways.
Okay. So for me, you will have to explain that.
I feel that we're at this point where we're feeling more content with the moments that we need to be alone. And we are seeing the expansiveness of our creativity is going to bolster our solar plexus. I don't know why I had to use the word bolster. Because the first thing that pops in my head when I think bolster is like when I was a massage therapist. It's like, no, I'm not a massage therapist anymore. That program has been deleted.
Bolster means to extend. To grow, to make bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The water is sideways. So I feel that it's like there's this part of us that we're not, it's like we're almost walling ourselves from our emotions at this time, or if we're not walling our emotions are, I don't want to say stagnant. Don't push, don't push. Just be you, haha.
而且做惯，
知ってたか？
え、今度こっち惯ない。Uh,
I'm right on the alley.
the
She
water,
knows how to do it.
Yeah.
the,
だなかった。
the water doesn't here. Water goes everywhere. It doesn't matter if you look at water sideways; it'll still be. Or
Wait a second. Okay. So, all right.
What?
So the idea that just came through was the idea of sand and water. So many people think that if they keep putting more dirt onto an emotional situation that the water's going to go away and it's just going to, but no, the water just soaks through.
Yeah.
And it just sits in the mud.
Yeah.
It sits in the mud. Okay.
No, the water just rises above the sand and goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sources like the water. The water up on the beach, it can get absorbed by the sand, but underneath, back out. It's all. We each, we each are source, but we are unique.
I say?
Yeah. And with
Wow.
that, I don't know how many are in the room, but I will have to say, do you want to put this out, please?
Absolutely. Just making sure. I'm always honored anytime when we have these discussions. For me at this point, when it comes to my when we have our spiritual, insightful conversations, the way that I look at it is when we don't share and express these things, then we are taking away knowledge that is, we are taking away knowledgeable downloads that will wake up more of our collective.
Holding on to our downloads. We are holding on to our downloads.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot see that. Oh, treasure chest. But it's open.
The bullying and the things that we have had to go through, we are deleting. Did you see that? We are deleting from our program. That's it. The well of knowledge.
Charlie's asleep. I'm gonna need your help a lot.
Okay, buddy. The well of knowledge is so deep.
One more. There's one more. Is she?
I don't know why it's upside down. Trophy.
Good.
Although it doesn't really look like a trophy for me. Like in this lighting, it kind of looks like a golden spaceship.
I don't know. Trophy. It's not. It's not about The trophy is upside down because it's not about any one of us being greater than any if what's in that. It's about the whole, the collective. The collective is all 8 billion people. Even if they are not awake or conscious or aware, they will be. I cannot see that one.
It's two little girls. One with a little bit of ice cream and one with more ice cream.
Interesting. But you
She's wearing red.
Hello? Can you make a spot for me? I'm coming in with.
But when you first showed it, it was sideways.
Yep.
It's not
The
about
one girl is looking sad because she only has the one scoop of ice cream.
Bob, can I be quiet?
Oh. You got something to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What do you got to say?
I want to play funny doors.
I want to play Funny Doors.
Doors go bad. Yes.
funny. Many possibilities. Many possibilities. All right. Well, everyone, I thank you very much for reading. There is she keeps throwing a little small chapters in here. She's got another chapter. Right before this chapter, it says, whatever comes your way, this causeless joy will hold. So she's got one more little micro chapter that's called Featured in the Greatest Secret. So she's got some little features that we're going to kind of tap into the next time I read, you know. So, and I've got to go. I would stay on a little bit longer and read just a little bit more, but of course I have things that I have to do. And
Same.
your son said, I have some funny doors to open.
Oh, what funny doors they may be.
Yes, but exciting and definitely authentic for me. So anyway, so thank you very much for everybody coming through and listening to this reading of the greatest secret. Rhonda Byrne.
And our musings.
I'll say it, and yours truly, Soul Sandra. Thank you for this soul conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, Sandra. It's always a blessing, and I'll catch you later.
Yeah, it's always a blessing. It's
always a blessing.
Greatness.
And
we are in constant contact with all of us. We're all awareness.
Remember, everybody, to be kind to yourself and to be kind to others, because the last time I checked, it's fucking free. Love you guys.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye-bye.